Hi guys, this is Marcela Bobbio, and today I want to share with you my top 3 singing tips for beginners. I thought of these as beginner singing tips, but I think actually any singer would profit from doing these things if they're not doing them right now. So let's go. Tip number 1, get yourself a Laxvox tube and practice with it as much as you can. First of all, if you've never sung before or you just started singing, the Laxvox can make it easier for you to access your head voice, that setting of your voice that you're going to need if you want to reach higher notes. The Laxvox also helps you phonate in a way that is very comfortable for your vocal folds. It gives them a little massage. So it's actually a really great way to warm up your voice when you're starting out, or even cool down after you've done a show or you've sung for a little while. And if you feel like you've strained your voice a little bit and you're a little bit hoarse and your voice has a little bit of breathiness that you can't get rid of, the Laxvox is also great for that. Also, if you're just starting out and you're still not comfortable hearing yourself sing, the Laxvox makes it a little bit easier because you're not hearing your voice, you're just hearing the bubbling. I'm going to show you in a second. So that can remove a little bit of the expectations that you have of how you should sound, and that can make it easier for you to just focus on range and intonation. So how does it work? You might have seen me do this before, but basically this is a silicone tube that is 30 centimeters in length and 1 centimeter in diameter. And what you want to do is you want to stick it in a bottle of water, a few centimeters. For guys, maybe like 4 centimeters, and for women, maybe 2, 1.5. And you're just going to put the tube in your mouth and you're going to make bubbles through the tube while making an ooh sound. So and a couple of things that you want to focus on is to make sure that your cheeks are relaxed, that all of the air is going through the tube so that you're fully enclosing the tube with your lips. And that's it. You could pretty much start like this, just doing random pitches in a lower range, like your speaking voice range. For instance, if I'm over here somewhere, I'm gonna just start doing some notes, get used to how it feels, and then at some point you could try gliding from a low pitch to a high pitch and then back down. We call those sirens. It sounds a little bit like this. And what you can try doing, if you like, is you can try to start going a little bit higher every time and a little bit lower every time as you go. Kind of like this. Of course, you don't have to go as high as me in the beginning. The important thing here is that the higher that you try to go, the softer that you want that sound to be. So think of ooh. If it has to get a little bit breathy and a little bit tiny, that's perfectly okay. So basically what you're doing is you're training your voice to switch from mode 1, which is your chest voice, your speaking voice, to mode 2, which is your head voice. You could potentially follow up with some scales, like a major third. For instance, I'm going to grab here, for instance, exercise 3.5 from the Universal Voice portal. If you have access to that, it sounds a little bit like this. And what you can try to focus on in the beginning is just see if you can really accurately hit all of those pitches. As a good warm-up and a way to stretch your vocal folds and train your range, you could try doing scales that are a little bit longer. For instance, I have here exercise 9.3 from Universal Voice, which is a major scale that goes all the way to an octave in and 9th above that, and then back. Sounds like this. You might not be able to reach those higher notes right away, especially if you're just starting out. It might be difficult, but just allow your voice to go wherever it needs to go. Let it flip. Forget all expectation of how it should sound and just focus on reaching the notes. The higher you go, the softer and maybe even breathier that you want that sound to be. It doesn't matter if your voice falls off, for instance, in the higher notes like this. I would rather have you do that than like try to push something and press to try to get somewhere with a certain kind of volume or expectation. So that's my tip number 1. We're going to go on to tip number 2, which is not very exciting, but practice. Practice a lot. Singing is just like playing any other instrument. There are muscles, even though you can't see them, that you have to train. You need a certain motor skill. You need a certain muscle memory in order to be able to sing certain things. The more time that you spend practicing, the easier it's going to be for you to consistently deliver good results. If possible, try to find a place where you can practice, where you don't feel self-conscious when you sing. Because this happens to all of us. Whenever you feel self-conscious, you might start doing things a little bit differently. For instance, if I want to practice my belting sound and being very loud, but I don't feel very comfortable doing this because I'm afraid that my neighbors are going to be upset, or like my roommates are going to be upset, then I'm going to start doing something different. I'm going to start pressing, and I'm going to make a sound that you can hear is not as loud and it's a little bit pressed. So you might change your technique. So yeah, ideally, find a situation where you feel comfortable being loud, making mistakes. If your voice flips or cracks or whatever, that it's perfectly okay. It's important that you feel comfortable so you just can try anything that you want. Please do not get discouraged if things don't work the first time around, or if your voice flips or cracks or something weird happens. Just keep practicing. Trust the process and allow yourself to make mistakes. When you stop practicing because you feel discouraged by a mistake, you're basically not allowing yourself to get better. So don't get discouraged. Keep trying, keep practicing. If you don't know how to practice, or if you don't know what exercises are most suited for you, find a teacher that can help you out, a teacher that you vibe with, that you have a good connection with and a good feeling with, so they can help you make an exercise routine that better suits what you want to achieve with your voice. And lastly, tip number 3 is record yourself. Our voices sound very different to us inside of our heads than what they sound to people listening to us from the outside. So it's actually kind of confronting to hear your voice for the first time on a recording. This happens to all of us, even if you've sung for a while but hadn't recorded yourself, and then you do record yourself and you listen to it. You might be put off by your own voice because it sounds so different than what it sounds to you in your head. But it's just a bridge that you have to cross, and the sooner that you do, the sooner that you're going to be able to listen to yourself in a recording and try to listen for what you have to work on. But do not forget that when you're listening to an album production, there's a lot of things going on to make those vocals sound fantastic. And if you compare a recording that you made, for instance, on a note recording app on your phone to an album production, well, you're going to hear a lot of differences. For starters, an audio production uses a lot of compression, which is something that you can actually hear right now on this recording that I'm recording with my microphone as well. And compression will make all of the softer parts louder and the louder parts maybe a little bit softer, so that everything is just a little bit more of the same volume. So people on those recordings might not be singing as loud as you think, and that might cause you to think like you have to be very loud at some points, and you really don't have to. And that's just an example of things that can happen. Recordings also have a lot of effects like reverb and delay to make everything sound more impressive. So just know that comparing a raw audio recording on a phone to an album production, it's not completely fair. And that is it. Those are my top 3 singing tips for beginners. I hope that you find them useful. I hope that you found them interesting. If you have any questions or maybe a topic that you would like me to talk about on a later video, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.